Morning, everyone. Sorry about the delay again. You're getting used to me by now, aren't you? I think we've had a bit of traffic problems down the road, the resurfacing and everything. But anyway, excuses. We're here now, and I hope you're all having a second cup of coffee and an extra piece of toast while you've been waiting for me. But let's go. I've had a request. No, was it Di? I can't remember. About the stag and snowflakes. Couldn't remember what I was doing then. The stag and snowflakes this morning, and another request about the snowflake set, snowflakes and stars. Very similar. So I'm not going to do the snowflakes and stars today. I'll do that another time. I don't want to get all these snowflakes muddled up. So I'm just sticking to the stag and snowflake set today. And hopefully you'll pick up some tips and things as we go. The usual thing. Right, so I'm going to start off with the two sets that I'm using now. This is the stag and snowflake, and this is the large snowman and tree. And we have had a lovely post on this. I can't remember the names. They have to be in front of me, all the names. Done in green, and then it looked lovely. And I've just seen one actually today, very similar to our cutter. And that's finished in a totally different way on a cookie. So I will show you that another time, nearer Christmas. And that's the thing. I know I'm starting maybe a bit early for Christmas, but if you think of one a week, and it's 13 weeks, is it, to Christmas, and we finish a week before, then we've got 12 weeks and we've got about 100 cutters. So it's going to be quite busy to show you. And of course, we'll have some of our new range, the, what are they called? Combo cutters. You can see I'm having a muddled day already. Right, so that's the tree that I'm going to use today, which I have shown you before, but we'll do it today for those who haven't seen it. I won't use the snowman today. So this is the stag. So I'll start off with this. You get the large daddy stag. So I'll just show you that. And then you get that one, which can be a child or the mummy stag. I'm sure it's a different name. And then you've got the little baby here. Now, I'm going to cut these two out in white and put them on a pink plaque to begin with, because it does look nice for a baby's cake, you know, welcome baby, or first, not first birthday so much, but a newborn anyway. And they do look nice, just cut out in white and put on a plaque. So I'll just put those to one side, do that first. Then we have our... and I'll put that over there. Then we have our snowflakes, and you can see I've been using this, and I've got a little bit of icing left, and that's where my toothbrush comes in, because you can just flick out any little bits without damaging the cutter. So you get three of that size, different patterns. I'll show you as we go. And then we have two smaller ones, and they're all in the set. Now I know quite a few people say, oh, they're a bit small, I don't know if I'm going to get those out. So I'll show you how easy it is to get them out and what to do with them once you have got them out. Right, so I'll put my toothbrush away, may not need that again. Let's put those to one side. Excuse me. So I'm just going to cut these out to begin with in white and show you what they look like on a little plaque. I've also got some royal icing made, because I'm going to do a little bit of piping. And yeah, so I'm going to use the flour paste as normal. Now, the flour paste is down to your own preference. As you know, I tend to use all the time Renshaw's, but I thought, you know, I'm just going to give the local supermarket one a try. So it's the local, the Sainsbury's white flour and modelling paste. So I was giving this a try, and I was doing the coffee morning last Saturday and making flowers with it. It was all fine, it was all good. So, you know, the other one I like is Natalie Porter's. She has a really nice flour paste as well. So I'm putting a little bit of Trex on here, as you know, using the cutters as cutters, then not as embosser. You do need to roll out on Trex. Just pull your sleeve down. Right, so roll out and don't lift your paste up and down. It's important that this sticks down. So I'm going right back to basics here, but hopefully there will be some people who haven't seen really, don't know much about patchwork cutters. Right, so you're rolling that out. There are others who have been with me for 40 years, 30 odd years, and there's some that are just joining us. Right, so we've got our little deer there. and I'm putting that on. So press around the outside edge. Now I put Trex on the cutter, and that should flick away easily, like that. And this one, now that stays down on the board. It doesn't lift into the cutter. None of the patchwork cutters should lift into the cutter. And that's why you don't lift the paste. It's stuck down on that Trex or shortening, whichever you use, Crisco, whatever. Okay, just try and flick that off there. Right, so we've got our little baby one there, and we've got this one. So pull the paste from around the outside edge. Now use a cocktail stick if it's easier, just to take that away. Around there, and then like so. Okay, so you don't have to do anything else with that. They can go on, if you ice cookies pink, you can put these on. Or for Mother's Day, it does look nice. I've got a little plaque here that I've iced already. So I'm just going to place these on. You could leave them to dry, moisten the back. And I'll put a little bit of royal icing on there after when I come to do the royal icing. So I'll just lift that up so you can see what I'm doing there. You see, so it's perfect for a Mother's Day. You don't want that one to look as though it's floating. Let's put it down a little bit. So when you're happy with the position, you can then just secure it down with a little water. But as I say, you can leave them to dry. So you could, if you were doing plaques for Mother's Day, when next year or something, then you can make them, store them. That's probably, yeah, it's stuck. And that's stuck, so I needn't use the water on that. So I'll do a little bit of piping on that later, but you can see how easy and it's pretty. It's pretty, isn't it? The white on the pink, or you could do blue for the boys or whatever. Right, now for the sort of Christmas scene that I'm doing, I'll just put that back under there, and I have coloured some of my flower paste brown, so I've just added a little brown dust colour. Now I'm using the dust colour, sorry about rustling, I'm using the, where have I put my dusts? Over here. I'm using the same dust colour to brush around the outside edge to do some shading. So I've got the same tone. I've used dust colour and just mixed some in with the paste just to take the whiteness away. It's just a very pale brown. So put that to one side, and I'm just going to Trex up. So I will cut out these. You've just seen me do the smaller ones, but I'll cut them out again so I can show you the colouring. Right, so roll, don't lift, roll it thin, and then I'll do this one. I do want to show you the colouring in of these, so I will cut them out again. So anything small, like the little bottom of the legs there and the ears, put plenty of Trex on there. Okay, so let's just press round there. I mean, you can keep them as a silhouette, but I like to put a little bit of detail on them. Okay, a little flick. Oh, get ready to catch. And then this one. Now I'm going to dust it and colour it, so I'm going to put it onto one of my rolling out boards. Just pull that away, just so I can do all the colouring on that. Move all that. Okay, so I will just lift that onto here. And this one onto there, and just check that the legs are in the right position. You don't want a sudden great long leg there. You do want it to look as though it all belongs, and if it's stretched in the cutter, then you would have to cut another one out. You don't have one very long leg. Okay, so we've got those two on there. Now, I'm going to do, it's the easiest thing with the big one here because of all the detail in the antlers. Yeah, antlers. I'm just going to work the paste. Just make it nice and pliable. Don't overwork it, just make it nice and pliable. And I think I put the tracks on there. So roll out. So what I'm going to do now is lift this onto a small rolling out board, and then I don't have to lift it twice. You'll see what I mean. Right, so that's nice and thin. So I'll take another rolling out board. Now, you don't have to use rolling out boards. You can use anything really. And for dusting, you can use even a plastic bag with maybe a piece of card inside so it doesn't go floppy. Right, so I'm just going to re-roll that so I get a good contact with the board. And then put plenty of Trex on that. And all the antler bits there. Okay, around the feet. It's quite an open cutter, isn't it? It's not very detailed apart from this part here. So I'm going to put this on there, press firmly over there, antlers and round the cutter there. That's it. So what you don't do with anything like this is start shifting it about like that. You need to just press it and then take that away. Ooh, get ready to catch it. Right, so then I'm going to peel this. Okay, use a cocktail stick just to get rid of that. Then I'm going to just get rid of all this bulk. Take this away. Get rid of all that. Now I need to be able to just get on top of this so I can see what I'm doing. So use a cocktail stick then just to pull all this paste away. And you know, if you do lose a little bit, does it matter? Nobody's going to notice. They've got nothing to compare it to, have they? But just do, you know, try and hang on to the piece. You put your finger on there as you pull the paste away. Hold on to as much as you can. So that part cuts out and that part cuts out. So I'll just lift that up a little bit. Okay. I was going to do it on my the smoother. You know, last week I said, oh, that's great, having the smoother at an angle. But it's not tall enough, not big enough for this. Right, so that's on there now. Just get rid of some of that Trex. I don't have to lift it up again. I'm going to colour it on this board. So rather than lift it and have all the antlers going out of shape and flopping about, I've just done that. I've taken the surplus paste away and then I can colour it. Now, you can leave them to dry a little bit. Not too much. You don't want it to be, well, you might want it to be dried totally and then you can add them. Stand it away from the cake a bit, but I am going to just wipe a little bit of that Trex off because I'm going to colour it now. I'm going to colour these now. Right, so this is the brown that I've used to. I nearly wiped my pants, my hands on my pants then. Right, that's it. Get Trex on there. Right, so I've used a touch of this chocolate. It is any shade of brown that you like, that you're happy with. Go with that. And I have got somewhere in here, there it is, the nice brown. So work that into your brush and don't have lots of loose dust on there. If you think, oh, I've got too much and it's all in the lid, and just work it in, and then you can always have a piece of the kitchen roll to one side just to take off any excess. So you could just do that and take some off. So I'm going to start just by brushing. As you know, when I'm colouring things, I like to just brush around the outside edge. Let's tip that up a bit. Going down over the feet. So to begin with, I'm just going all the way round the outside edge, like so. Just give a little bit of shading. I did a little bit more colour on there. What's happening is it's picking up the tracks, so if you do leave it for a little while, that tracks will just settle. I'm building it up, building it up, building it up. Okay, now I'm going to go over with a little more colour. So I'm just working that into the lid. Dry, not adding any alcohol to this, it's just going on dry. Not yet anyway. Okay, so get a good coating on the antlers, like so. Can you all see that okay? Now you've got to think about the legs. Which leg's in the foreground, which leg's in the background. I'm going to put a bit more colour on the tummy. Around there. So I would think I'm going to go with this one as being in the background. So I'm going to put a little bit more colour at the top because that would be in the shade, right? And this one will go, just need to be able to see that. Just going to take that colouring up a little bit there. And don't be afraid to blend things in with your fingers as well. So just take that down there. And likewise, this one here, that would be in the background, you know, behind this one. So I'm just taking that, brush that colour up there. Now, I'm no artist, right? And if you wanted to get all this colouring and beautiful painting, then join Tracy Mann's classes. They're absolutely amazing. This is just basic stuff, something that you go, oh, that's all right. If you're not an artist, you go, that's fine. We'll have a bit of that. We'll take that. Just bringing that down a little bit more, blend it. Start to bring that down a bit. It does make all the difference putting a bit of shading on, doesn't it? But you keep that part there would be so lighter, this part here where the light catches it, and then that's the back leg there. Right, so when you've got as much on as you want, a bit more there maybe. Yeah, so then I'm going to mix that. Oh, well, I'll tell you what, before I mix in the lid, I'll just do these two little ones here. Where did I put them? There they are. So again, with these, just still with the dry dust. With this little one here, I'm just, again, bring the colour around the outside edge. A little bit, which would be the either side of the face there. We'll dust some shading in, paint some detailing in a minute. Right, so again, I think I'll go around the outside edge. Got quite a bit of tracks on there. It will sort of disappear, the tracks, into your paste after a few hours. Depends how much is on there really, but you can wipe some of it off anyway. So again, I'm just going around the outside edge, bringing it in. So if you go that way, you're going to get all the colour in the centre. So I just want to bring that round. Tracy's probably going to go, oh, if she's watching, she'll be saying, oh, what are you doing? But anyway, my version, Tracy. And then, which is the back leg? I think that this one would be the back leg. So I'm just going to put a little bit more colour there. These two are, I'm looking over there because I've already done one. Right, so that would do on there. So I'm just going to paint a little detail on there. And put that to one side. So I've got a fine brush. Okay, so these are all Sugar and Crumbs brushes. Lovely they are. But Tracy has her own brushes as well. So, you know, if you're going to go on Tracy's course, you probably want to choose, buy her brushes. If not, then you've got the Sugar and Crumbs. Right, so I'm just going to add a little bit of alcohol to this. If you can't use alcohol on things for any reason, then use pure lemon extract. That dries really quickly as well. I just need to blend that in a little bit there. So I'm going to draw a little line just to separate the front legs, and then I'm just going to draw a little line there, and that will just separate that. And then the face, I'm trying to hold this at a funny angle, aren't I? I'm just going to put a little eye there, maybe one there, nose, just take that down a bit, and then likewise just a hint of eye there, so it's only just a tiny dot there. Okay, keep them really small, you don't want anything to look grotesque on these, they're supposed to be cute. Right, so I'll bring this one back in, the big one. And then likewise, I'm just going to just draw, no, it's the back leg, isn't it? So I'm just going to draw that across like that, just a hint of colour there. I'll take that up there. And then this one, can't see for the light, yeah. So again, just a hint, you're not really darkening that. I'm going to put a little bit of dark on the hooves. And then his nose, I'll put an eye about there. And then a little bit, what would be the ear? Now looking at it upside down, I think I've got that right. Yeah, we'll just call that a bit there. Okay, so absolute minimal of painting on that, just to separate the legs really, isn't it? Make sure that you can see that's a front leg, that's a back leg. Yeah, okay. So then you can leave them to dry, as I say, or you can, well, leave them to firm up anyway. Even if you're going to put them on a round cake and you want them to bend to the shape of the cake, I would still leave that for an hour to lift before I lift it, so that this isn't going to be flip-flopping everywhere. I'll just put that to one side and move on to the snowflakes. So let's clear this. So if you've got dust everywhere, use your Trex to go over, and that will just clear your board nicely. Now, I'm using on this, again, flour paste. Let's see, there it is. Just a small piece goes a long way. So Trex up, roll out. Now what I do now, if I just want sort of shiny snowflakes, you see how thin I'm rolling this? The smaller the cutter, the thinner the paste should be. And if you think the paste is still a little bit soft, you can leave it for about 5 minutes, come back and cut it out, that's fine. Now what I'm going to do with this is use either white satin, which I can't find, I was looking everywhere for it this morning, can't find it, but I also like this one, which is the Wonder Dust. This is lovely, and it's the White Sparkle Wonder Dust. I don't know if they're in square pots now, they might be, but this is gorgeous. You can just sprinkle it on as well, you don't have to do what I'm doing. Now put a little bit of Trex on there, on the surface. Okay, like that. And then put this on. You see the difference? That really, hopefully you haven't got yellow on your brush like I have. But if you do that first, it saves having to try and dust them when you've cut them out, because they are very, very small. So I've got my shiny on there. Don't know if you can see that. You should be able to. Just get a good coating of it. I'll show you another way of doing it as well in a minute. Okay, so then you're going to take your cutter. So I'll cut one of each of the large ones out of that. So Trex up every time. And this is where bits that stick in, you use your toothbrush, a new toothbrush, to remove. Give a flick. No, it won't lift in the cutter because you've got all that shiny dust on it. Now, I'm setting myself up there for a fail, aren't I? But it shouldn't lift in your cutter, put it that way. So there's 3 different designs of snowflake. Okay, so do get these out first. I'm going to put them on here so that you can see them. Give that a little flick. Then use your cocktail stick, and we'll start with this one, which is the easiest one. Emma, yes, I will. And you know when you've been using sparkle, because when you go to the shops or you just bump into people outside and they don't make eye contact. They look at the bit of sparkle that's on your face. It's very it's odd. And for days after, even though you do have a shower, you're still finding a little bit of sparkle, aren't you? But, you know, quite often I have to explain, say, oh, I've been using a sparkle on cakes or something, because I know people are looking at me thinking, what on earth? I think I've gone to a disco or something. 70s nice. Right, so just use your cocktail stick. So easy just to pull that away. And as I say, much easier if you do dust the paste first. Okay, I'm just lifting that up. Pop it on there. You can see that. And then this one is the more detailed. So take all the paste, first of all, from around the outside edge. Like so. Get rid of that bit as well. And then all these little bits, these little, like, diamondy bits in the centre there. Just knock those away. Knock those away. I have to say, this is what... I like magic sparkles, but this is one of my favourites for Christmas. I spray this on everything, sprinkle it down on cakes. This one, the white sparkle. So sugar and crumbs, white sparkle. That's what you're looking for. Oh, right, so then you can lift that on. Okay, and then pop that on there. So you can see the 3 sizes that we have on that. So I'm going to roll this again to get it even thinner, because I'm moving on to these 2 little tiny ones, and people think, oh no, I'm not going to be able to use them. But just put plenty of Trex on, so smaller the cutter, more Trex on there, and thinner the paste. And you press firmly. Oh, I'll do a couple. Okay, and I haven't put the white sparkle on, have I? But I will do on 2 of them, and then I'll show you what to do with the others. Okay, so I'll just put that on there. And now, one of each. So just like with the big ones, you're going to pull the paste away, but remember to hold on to your snowflake as you do that. Just hold, you know, get your finger in there and just hold on to the bit that you want to keep. Okay, and then, let's move that, just lift that and pop it on there. Now we're going small now, aren't we? Okay, and then with this one, it's there somewhere. Hold on, let's dig it out. There it is. So if I lift that back in, you can see the tiny ones there. You can emboss them straight onto your cake if you wanted to, but I like them cut out like that. Now, the other thing that you can do is use the magic sparkles. Now, when you get this, they come in quite large flakes, which is lovely for sprinkling over cakes and stuff. But if you want to dip something, you need to grind it down. So I'm going to use my paintbrush handle just to press that. Now, I know, I'm not sure where else you can get them from, but I know Karen Davis sells these and in all sorts of colours. So if you wanted to get them, they are edible. I'm grinding this down to make it really fine. You can make your own. There are recipes for making your own, but hey, you know, I've got other things to do with my life than sit making magic sparkles. Right. So if you cut out, say, this, I'll do this one. So say you cut out a large one. And then pull that, oh, I'm going to rub over the top of that paste. I should have done that before I cut it out, but it doesn't matter. I got away with it. And these little ones. Just put a little bit of Trex directly onto where the snowflake is. Pull the paste away. And take that. And from around these. Oh, lost the end of that one. Never mind, it's starting to dry. Right. I'll get rid of that. So with these two. Now, what I'm going to do is lift, pop it on the end of my finger. I've got a bit of Trex on there, so that will hold it on. And then just dip that into your magic sparkle. So you can see how glittery that is. And if you want it more so, then grind it down even further. Let's flip that over so you can see. Right, and then with this one, again, I'm going to lift it, get the Trex on my finger so it'll stick. Dip it in, pull it out. One of those are folded in. And then pop that on your what would be a sponge pad. I'd definitely let them firm up before you put them on your cake. I'm looking for my knife. I'm actually holding this on. So should have another one there. No, never mind. Do it like that. And then just it's a Trexy business. This. Okay. So when you leave them to dry, just make sure that they're all supposed to be pointed in the right direction. All right. Okay. So we've got a nice little selection of snowflakes on there. And they're quite nice if you're making a model and say it's a little cute teddy bear or something for Christmas, little Christmas hat, and then snowflakes around, and you can just put a little snowflake in its paws, anything like that, or even one on his hat. I'll put those to one side because I just want to go on now to show you this cake that I'm going to do with the tree. To put my animals on. Let me wipe that down. So the first thing I'm just going to cut out now before I bring the cake over is cutting some of these out. So again, I'm going to use the white flour paste. So the whole thing is very white and snowy, Christmassy looking. I'm just doing a background now with a bit of piping. Right. So Trex up, roll out, roll it thin. Don't lift. So you can see that area there is thinner than this part here, so I only need this part in the middle. So tracks up your cutter, down all these little ridges, put plenty on there. As I say, I've seen that one of our group members have put a lovely green one on. It's gorgeous. Right, so press around the outside edge. Had a very enjoyable coffee morning the other day. I was doing some coloured sugar paste using, now I don't know if I pronounced her name right, Kyong, I think it's Kyong, Kyong, and if you ever want to have a look at some fantastic texturing and just lovely ideas, I think she's absolutely brilliant. So I was showing the group how to do some of her techniques. It's lovely. Right, so I've got this little tray here, and I would put that onto a sponge pad. Let me just see now. Well, it doesn't have to go on a sponge pad, it can go on. I'll use this green one, excuse me, and pop it on down. Show up better on here. Yeah, so have a look at her. If you haven't been on her website, have a look. American girl, but she's brilliant. Right. So have a look on our website if you fancy coming along to our coffee mornings. We have a royal icing class coming up week on Saturday. I think there's 2 places left. Might only be one now. I think it's 2. So yeah, we've got the royal icing one. The Christmas cake one's full. That's booked out. I need to put that on the website actually, that it's full. And what else? Oh, and the other coffee mornings that we have. And there are demonstration days. Now the 16th of December is full, but we've got a few places on the 2nd of December. And we have Dinky Doodle coming along, Dawn Butler. If you've never seen Dawn, I would say come along because you're in for a real good laugh. And of course we've got Leanne Tang coming over and Sue Pinnock's on as well. So there's 4 of us doing some nice demos. So hopefully you can, if you want to join us, you can book online. There's just a few places left on the 2nd of December. And you get a hot lunch. Oh, it's a great day. Lots of fun. Right, so I've done the plug. I'll carry on. So yeah, so cut out my tray and I've got it on there. Now I'd like to do some brush embroidery. As I said, I'm keeping everything white and silver. So I've got some royal icing here. Now making your royal icing, you can use fresh egg white, and if you're going to do that, I would crack your egg, obviously, no egg yolk in it at all, and that little stringy bit, remove that, and then leave the egg white out overnight in a little dish, and that will liquefy it, because sometimes it's quite, if it's fresh, it's quite thick, isn't it, quite jelly-like. So just leave it out and then make your royal icing with that. You can buy egg whites now in a container, pasteurised egg whites, so always make sure they're pasteurised. And you can buy those from supermarkets and they're great for royal icing. You've also got like Sugar and Crumbs, they do whipping it up royal icing, and Whitworth's royal icing as well. So they are just add water to it, both great. So yeah, you've got lots to go at there. I was going to say I won't go into different icing sugars because it's going to take too long and confusing, but there are some you use and some you don't. Right, so I've got my royal icing made, and I do like to have a paper bag. I have more control over a paper bag. I have stapled it, and if you're going to staple it, just make sure you've stapled it and it's secure. You haven't got staples that you're going to lose in a cake. But I do like it. It's only a small amount. I don't want one of these great big bags that you use for buttercream flowers and things. I want to have full control over what I'm piping here. And I'm going to use a number 2 piping nozzle. Right, so just cut off the end there. Make sure that the piping nozzle, when you pop it in, is well clear of the paper. You don't want to have a tiny hole and then the end of the nozzle covered with the paper, because then you're not piping through a number 2, are you? You're piping through a squishy bit of paper. So I don't want massive amounts. I want to have full control. And if you've got arthritis in your hands or any hand complaints, like me, then that's another reason why smaller bags are better. You just got more control. Right, so this is full peak. It's standing upright. I'll just put a little bit more in than that. Okay. Yeah, so the royal icing class that we've got coming up, we're doing piping, we're doing shells and all that, pressure piping, and then in the afternoon we're doing iced cookies. So there's a little bit of everything on that one. So just make sure that's coming out. Now, never if your piping nozzle's blocked, never stick anything like a pin or anything up it, because if you get a tiny split in that, it's no good. You won't be able to pipe with it, because your icing will just keep curling up. So you know, always get a little brush to clean them, or just soak them in water to dissolve it. So I want to do a bit of brush embroidery on this. So it's quite fine. I'm just going along, following that line along there. Okay. Just hold that up. Now this is going to be the longest brush stroke here and here and here. So I want a little bit more icing there and there and there up against the first row, just to thicken that out a bit. Now I have been using a number 1 brush, so always keep the brush damp and then just coax that along like so, just thickening that edge. You can use a finer brush if you want to. Then you're going to pipe another line. So you don't want to have this too thick, you want to keep it dainty. It's just supposed to be, you know, a hint of. Now, a hint of outline. If you start getting icing clumping on the end, so say you've got your brush and you're brushing it and it's like that. You see that little bit of icing, that will build up, and all you're doing then is brushing with a big dollop of royal icing. So always keep your brush clean. So I just dabble it in water and then take the excess off of the back of my hand. You can do it on a piece of paper, you know, kitchen roll if you want to, but I just do it on the back of my hand, and I'm just brushing that up like so. So just go over and over and over and over and over. And what you don't want is to leave a little gap there. You can just see that embossed line. So I'm just pushing that icing down into that. Right. So again, just follow that along. You've got your pattern there to follow. A little bit extra, a little bit extra. You can do this in coloured icing. And one of the most beautiful brush embroidery that I've seen was done by the late Margaret Ellis, who sadly passed away, and she was so talented with her flowers. I don't think people realise just how talented she was with things like brush embroidery, painting, you know, all sugarcraft things. She was so talented. But lately, you know, well, not lately, but over the last years, it's been her flower making that has brought her fame. But yeah, I just wish I still had, because we used to go around a lot to sugarcraft shows and things together. I just wish I had some of her competition pieces to show you, because they were outstanding. And she used to do what I'm doing now, but with coloured icing rather than the white. Vivid colours, just lovely. Right, I'll have to ask Jenny if she has any, as a daughter, if she has any pieces like that from her mum, and I can borrow them to show you. That's a little bit extra, a little bit extra. You're just working from the base up like that. You don't have to be too sort of, yeah, doesn't have to be a time consuming thing. Okay, a little bit there, extra. So, and a little bit extra there. So just pipe that little bit extra there. Nearly there now. The brush is okay. You're just leaving that little outline behind. Just brush embroidery. Okay. So, and then the final bit. Now, round the base, whether you keep the base on or whether you just take it right, you know, cut that off and just have it from there. But, I don't know where that's come from. Brush that in. So I'll just outline this little base. I'll keep that on. I'm just lining. I'm not going to brush embroider that. I'm just leaving it as an outline. Okay, so when that's dried. Okay, so hopefully you've seen all that. I haven't had it out of shot. So when that's dry, you can then brush over with silver. So I've got two here, and this is just not fully dry, but dry enough for me to handle. Now with your silver, if you have a light silver, you can add a touch of black to it just to darken it slightly. So I've got two shades there. Okay, and likewise, if you have a darker silver, then you can add a touch of white satin to it, and that will lighten it. So you only need one, but you can just adjust it. You can buy both if you want, but you don't have to. Right. So I'm just going to get some. I'll use the darker silver. I mean, it's not going to be terribly dark, but dark enough. And I'm just going to brush that I call it inside the tree, you know, just above where just catching where the brush embroidery is, but just leaving the snowy bit. But I'm putting it on dry. I don't want to wet the tree or wet the royal icing, so I'm just putting a hint of this grey, this silver along there. And one of the things I did show you earlier in the year was the fox cake, the fox plaque, which would be on a cake. I do work on dummies and plaques a lot because it's a waste otherwise. Or I'll work on half an ice cake, as I'm going to do today, because it's just stripped off and reused. Okay, so that just gives you a nice little silvery look to your. Go over with a bit of that lighter. The lighter one will just give it a bit more shine. Like so. Okay, and then just get rid of the excess dust with your little blower. Just move that over there. And I'll just show you the plaque where I have embossed that straight into the icing. I didn't cut one out, I just embossed it straight in, and then I've done what I've done there, overpiped it and dusted it. It's looking a bit tatty this now, but hey. Right, so move that out of the way. So I'm going to bring the cake in, so hopefully you'll be able to see. Let's have a look and see. Right, so I've got my cake here, and I can't see a screen. Right, so on the board around here, instead of cutting out the snowflakes, I've just used them, just embossed them. Now you can leave them as they are, or you can go over with a little bit of the silver or the white snowflake and just shimmy them up a little bit, or you can just leave it as a pattern, or just leave the board plain. Now on the side of the cake, this is quite a deep cake, it's 6 inches. Because of the height of the stag, I wouldn't go lower than 5. But what I've done here, I've taken the tree, and all I've done, I've just embossed, you can see there, I've embossed that in, and then I've lowered this one down This is just for a background, high and low. And then I haven't really done much work to that. All I've done, I'll just do these two. Just using that as an outline of where I'm going to put my trees. It's just to give me an idea there. And then a damp brush, so I'll use that number 1, I think it is. Let's see, oh, it's number 3, sorry. And then I'm just sort of dabbing this on. I don't want it to stand out too much. I've got grey on this, haven't I? That's going to make it stand out. Just push that in, push that in. But I just want that hint of a tree in the background. But hopefully that wouldn't be that colour. Should clean my brush first. Right, okay. And then this one, again, just start off at the point. I didn't do the point on there. And then just putting, it just gives you an idea of how far across to put your little scribbles. And then a damp brush. And just touch those in. Yeah, I need a new brush. I'll use that one now, it doesn't matter. No, we're doing it now. That's sort of after the horse has bolted, isn't it? Right, so just go across like that, but use a clean brush. So you're just getting a background, see there? You can tell there's a tree there, but it's not in your face. Right, so then I would take my trees. Now, I only did these this morning, so there's still a bit of movement in there. But I did have them in the oven, my drying cabinet, as I call it, for about 10 minutes with the door open, just to firm it up. And then they've just been sitting here since. So I'm just going round a little bit in there, so you can see what I've piped on that. And then I can lift that onto there. I've got a foreground tree, okay, and I'm going to put my stag on. So where's my stag family? The ones that are dried over here. So there's my dry. Before I put any more trees on, I'm just going to get my stags in place. So this is one that I did last night. Again, I'm just going to put a little bit of piping behind that. You could use water, but if you've got your piping anyway, then you might as well just pipe that on. Just going to put a few dots here and there on that. Okay, so avoiding the antlers. Let's see, I'll put him there, put him there. So there's still a bit of bend in him. On a round cake, on a square cake, then you can just make as many of these as you want, can't you, and have them in storage. So we've got that one there. Then we'll get the family in. So again, I'm just going to turn that over. Put a little bit of icing behind. Get that one on. And again, they've been sort of semi-dried, so that can go there over the tree. Hopefully that will stay like that. And then the little baby maybe down here. Put that down there. So we've got that one on the tree, just standing away a little bit, and then we've got this other tree now, so we can put a little bit of icing. I just wanted you to see how you can build all this up, and just going to go over his back legs there. So ignore this part because that's the because all this gets stripped off. So I'm just going to catch over the back leg so it just gives it a little bit background, foreground. And then once you've got those in position, then you can continue with your background. Use your brush or your knife and just bring that across. And then you'd want them in snow. You don't want them sort of looking as though they're about to rear up. I'm just bringing that little snowy bit there. And again, either use your brush. My bags are always loose at the bottom. Any tips, please? I'll show you about making a bag. Oh, don't know if I've got any here to... They do tend to move when you're filling them, I have to say, but make them tight when you do that. If I can undo one. So I'm just making sure that you've got a little bit of sort of snowy effect there. You don't want to suddenly have like plain there. You could put another tree there behind them actually. I've only got those. But it just takes away the plainness and you just got that hint without all this brown on the tree. And then you could go over with your white satin and brush over that if you wanted to. Okay, so that's just giving you can use different trees, you know, I mean, we've got nice trees in our countryside set as well, which you can use, just put that down there. So that's just giving you sort of a background, foreground ideas for your stag and snowflakes. Oh yeah, so the snowflakes then, we've got here, they'd be pretty big, wouldn't they, if they're sort of coming down here, but you could put them on, or you can just put them on the top, like so. Or if you wanted the smaller ones, just moisten the back with a little water. Or the cake with a little water. So you can just start putting those on. That just needs sorting out there. Okay, so moving on from that, you okay with that? And you can repeat that round the back, you know, or you could just have the stag at the front and the little ones round the back. Entirely up to you. So this cake is a 6 by 6. It's quite a tall cake. You could go up to there, but so that would take it down an inch. So a 5-inch depth would be nice. Then you haven't got to put quite so much trees in the background. Right, so I said I'd show you a little bit of piping on this one before we go, and then I'll show you about making a bag. So something like this, you need to have a ground in there, you know. So you start putting just squiggles, so it looks as though it's standing in something, and then sort of squiggles along there, and then you can put a few little squeeze, pull away, squeeze, pull away, squeeze, pull away, and squiggles. And then if you want to put some tiny little dots in there for flowers, so like so. And if you're going to pipe some little flowers, then you would go 3 in a row, 1, 2, 3, and 2 either side. Put your background there. Okay. And again, squeeze and pull for a leaf. So you can just make a nice little pattern on there, and that you can continue all the way around your plaque if you wanted to. So you just 1, let me show you, 1, 2, 3, either side, either side. That would be a number 1. 1, 2, 3, either side, either side. 1, 2, 3, either side, either side. So you're just making a nice little pattern around your 1, 2, 3, and then either side. So with a number 1 tube, really, just to make it a little bit more delicate. Okay, I wouldn't do anything with those. I wouldn't start painting faces on or anything. I would just leave it like that and just do a bit of embroidery around them. Right, so the bag, I'm just going to show you this bag. So if I just recut this, I'll cut the top off because I have thingy over it. So what you're going to do is start off normally with a triangle, but I haven't got any triangles here. Let me just trim this down. I can make a bag out of anything really, because as long as you get a point on it. Let me show you. So that's the normal look for a bag, yeah? So if you're making it, you'd have, if you're right-handed like me, I always think of it as the nose. So you've got the nose over here. So you roll this one, the lower one, round and up to there. And then this one round the back and up to there. So all the 3 points end up over here. Now I can't do it slowly like that. I have to do that, wrap it round and put it in. And then those you fold in. And if you're not using a stapler, so make sure that that's a really sharp point, okay? And if you're not using a stapler, you can get staplers in art shops, and that just, you clip it and it makes a little hole in the paper but folds it back on itself. But that, two little cuts and then fold that in will also hold it nice. But if you haven't got that nice sharp point and straight line, when you cut the end off, it can sort of start to unravel a little bit. So do make sure that that's sharp. Now something like this, you see, you've got a bit of paper. If you just wanted a speck of colour but you needed to pipe it, wrap it round like that. You're making a sharp point. Doesn't matter about all this bit, you can cut that off, tidy it up. Right, so now see that now, that's beginning to unravel. It's not sharp like this one. So what you do is just pull that back, or the top paper, pull it up here to make that point sharp. Always make sure you've got a sharp point, because if you haven't, it's like that, it's not going to work. So make sure that that is really nice and sharp. Okay? Right, so I hope I've got a mess everywhere. How do I get in such a mess? I don't know. I always have done. My boss in the bakery used to say I'd use, if it gave me a 10-foot table, I'd use every bit of it and I just slide everything to one side. So I've got a little clean area. Right, so I hope you've enjoyed that. That's my my diabetes alarm going on. I hope you've enjoyed that, and you've got a few hints and tips from it. And next week, again, it'll probably be Thursday, and it'll probably be Christmas, because I need to get all these ideas out to you. So thank you for joining me. I hope you have a lovely weekend, and I'm going off to make some cookies for the Macmillan coffee morning, so tomorrow. So yeah, I hope to see you then. Take care. Bye.